Hello viewers, Super GT here. We have another race in the rain to deal with. I was foretold by the gods of Gran Turismo that this one would be an absolute killer for sportsmanship rating, and let's see if that is indeed the case. Okay, so Tokyo Expressway in the rain. It was added to the game very recently. It is now the daily race, and it's pretty much the full GT Cup. As you can see here, everyone pretty much has gone with this car. So our qualifying lap wasn't all that great. It was okay. We put ourselves in 7th on the grid. So let's see what we can do about trying to move up that order from here. So of course the rain makes things a lot more difficult, because of course you have no grip. We have a lot less grip. Tokyo Expressway as well is not good for penalties because of the walls. There's walls everywhere, basically, around the whole outside of the track, on all corners. This makes things doubly difficult, especially when you just tap someone into the wall like that and get yourself a 5-second penalty. Not great. So not an ideal start to the race. 5-second penalty. Yes, I did touch that guy, but he kept the position, and he's still in position. Didn't really lose out. Unfortunately, that's the way it is, so I'm going to have to just deal with it. Get on with it and deal with it. Very frustrating though. And my sportsmanship rating is going to go down to E rating, I think, at this rate. So we serve the penalty, and the penalty line is just before this final hairpin. You don't actually lose too much time there, because you have to slow down for this hairpin quite early anyway. So it's not the worst place to serve a penalty. There could be worse places. So we move down, that guy moves to the side, and we gain up, or go up one more position, courtesy of him. He actually goes into the wall and gets the 5-second penalty. So as if just crashing is not enough, you have to get you get whacked with a 5-second penalty. And I just to test the system, no, I made a mistake. I got the 5-second penalty as well for crashing into the wall. Very easy to do. You just get on the power, you can lose the car very easily, and then boom, you're heading for a trip into the wall. Not good. So we're going to have to serve our second 5-second penalty at the end of lap number 3. Trying to make some progress up though, behind these two guys that we've just gone past. And now we can turn our attention to the group in front, who was, well, it was a group of 4 and then it turns into a group of 2, as those two guys just decide, actually, I fancy just facing sideways into that wall for a moment. So they do a bit of that, gain 2 positions, and now we can serve our 5-second penalty. And where are we going to drop down to? Just a few positions. As long as you can stay in the slipstream of the guys ahead, then you're all good. We all know by now the suckage strength on Gran Turismo Sport, of course. And of course it has been recently extended the range to about 1.2 seconds. So as long as you're within that range, then you are golden down this very long straight. I think it's about 2 kilometres. You can see here I'm not quite far away enough for the slipstream to really work. Plus the guy ahead has slipstream as well. Into the first corner, he just braked a little bit too late. It's turned into a bowling alley. The Frenchman gets slammed into the wall. And it's going to be a 3 abreast momentarily, judging by the radar. But I'm just going to come out on top and go up into 7th place. Hopefully that is enough for penalties today. Those two guys behind getting a penalty, so I don't want to get back behind them. Now it's really a case of just trying to get a nice solid middle sector here. So the track really, for me, is kind of broken up into 2 halves. You've got the main straight, very long 2 kilometre straight, and then you've got the twisty section on the other end of the circuit. So it really does test your skill through here to then get on the slipstream for that main straight. And it is crucial. It's a crucial aspect of this race. Of any race around this track, and it's true in the rain as well, that doesn't really change it. You just have to be within slipstream range, otherwise you're going to lose a lot of time. You can basically gain a second down that straight by being in the right place behind another car. So of course it is very important. I'm not making the most of this though. We've got a yellow flag as we come down the hill. Guy in 5th there facing sideways, and then just disappears into the shadow realm. So another victim has been claimed and he got sent to Narnia. So we move up another position. So this race It was really punctuated by penalties in the opening laps, but then actually, well, problems were not exclusive to me, let's say, so other people spinning out left, right and centre and taking advantage of that. So you see the slipstream advantage as I go easily past this guy, and the straight is so long that the person you overtake can get back into your slipstream and go back past you. So just have to watch out for that. So you do have to kind of sometimes time your positioning. As we go a little bit too deep into turn 1, is the guy behind going to be able to make the move? Not quite. Just looking at that radar momentarily just to check where he is, and then he backs out so we can settle into 5th. It took a couple of laps, but eventually I managed to get within the slipstream range, so just under 1.2 seconds here of my fellow Brit, and there were a lot of Brits in this race. I noticed every time I did this race there were a lot of British guys. I suppose we are very experienced with wet weather driving, as we live on one of the rainiest islands in the world. I think it is, probably isn't. There are probably a lot more rainy islands, to be fair, and it actually hasn't rained all that much this summer in England, strangely enough. So, up in 4th on lap 7. This time is a bit different because I'm the one in front trying to defend. There's almost nothing you can do apart from be late and committed on the brakes and go back up the inside. There was a bit of contact, but I felt like I was ahead and up the inside. I was a little bit wide, but we retain 4th place with just under a lap to go. Now this race, it always is very interesting because even if you are the car ahead, you can still lose a position in the run up to the finish line. We've got another spinner, and that moves us up into a podium position. So despite all these penalties early in the race, 10 seconds worth of penalties in the first few laps, I somehow have got back onto the podium, although we still have the hairpin to navigate, and then we have someone right on our tail. In fact, we got the SR down rating there, as there must have been contact. I didn't quite feel it. Coming down to the hairpin then, I'm going to go defensive, braking just before the 150 board. Into the turn we go, and as we turn, the car, I don't know what happened here, but the car just didn't want to accelerate. It's like the gear just got completely disengaged, and we have yet another tale of fine bottling. Super GT is actually the prime bottler in the world, ahead of Coca-Cola and other big soda companies. So the biggest bottler, Super GT, I was on for a 3rd place and just completely threw it away with another sad tale of being an idiot. So we dropped down to 8th. We got ourselves another 5-second penalty, as if going into the wall at 2 miles an hour deserves a penalty, as if the stupidity, the humiliation of being an idiot and spinning on your own accord isn't enough. They rub it in with a penalty. I go back past this Porsche, but then of course we had the penalty, so we dropped back behind him and dropped down to 10th ultimately. So one absolute disaster. This guy just looks on in shame as that race completely unravelled. It was going very well, but we go again, and the idea, from any mistake, from any tough race, from any hardship we have in life, we must learn, we must learn, move on, and make sure we don't do it again. And we have the exact opportunity to do all of those things right here in the same race about 5 minutes later. So let's go about doing that, shall we? So trying to go around the outside there can sometimes work, didn't quite work on this occasion. So sitting here in 9th place, is there an opportunity to go for any move here? Almost spinning out there, and we did that in the last race, going into the wall as a result of a spin. Down into the hairpin, and this is where things get rather cosy, as there is big contact there between two of the guys. There is a McLaren F1 there, interestingly up ahead. That car very quick in a straight line. Let's see how it handles through the corners. And Ju there, getting the 5-second penalty. Lots more contact on the way out. We're going to go up a couple of positions here. Once again, the slipstream is really king down this long straight. So I'm going to have to just tuck into the slipstream, just kind of force this other guy out of the way. I'm taking that slipstream, thank you very much. The guy ahead of me here has got the slipstream of the guys ahead, so he's going to be gaining on them. And the two guys behind actually have penalties. So that's kind of good news, I suppose. will give us a bit of a break. I wanted to go past this guy and didn't quite move out early enough, so just actually bump drafted him, which probably helped if anything. As we go up into turn number 1, just on the brakes just before the 150, it's really close, and luckily this guy just gave the space as he goes slightly wide, and we kind of prized open that gap and move up into 6th place as we now try to turn our attention to the group in front. So really, again, it's such a crucial thing here. I'm 0.9 seconds behind. I just need to keep that gap by the time we get back to the main straight, and then I'm okay. So that's really the objective through this half of the circuit. Just keep that gap down and then do all the gaining and overtaking on that straight. Of course, if they make a mistake or something comes up, if there's an opportunity to go for a move, then go for it. And actually, that seems to be happening here as the Frenchman goes quite slowly through there and opens up the gap on the left-hand side. Up the inside, it's going to be a brave move past the McLaren. He leaves a space there for me, to be fair to him. And on the exit, I do just get the drive up into 4th place, and I'm just going to get the position of 4th, and now up behind the German for slipstream. And again, it's just the same scenario, just keep within that 1.2 second gap as we head towards the hairpin, the final corner, and it's really crucial to get that good exit. It's really easy to get a wheel spin on the exit. So braking about halfway between the 200 and the 150, so 175 before the corner, meters presumably, but I'm not sure. I'm guessing it's meters. Anyone Japanese here? Do you use imperial? Do you use metric? Who knows? I don't know. So down the main straight. You can see here, just within range. The guy ahead, I think, is he within slipstream range of the guy ahead of him? I don't think so. And you can see there just how much time I've gained. Really, really big, strong suckage. So, just a quick off-topic discussion. Well, it's not completely off-topic. It's still Gran Turismo related. But we have Gran Turismo Sport Spec 2. So lots of you might be wondering what that is. It's basically Gran Turismo Sport. It's the same thing, but it's all the DLC and everything just bundled into one new game. So if you bought the game new, you might as well just buy Spec 2, because then you get everything rather than having to download it all. So that's all it is really, and you get a couple of other little additions and bonuses, but there's no new content on it. It's not a different game. It is the same game essentially. And there was an update 1.46 which changed the intro to the game. To a more sort of esports vibey one. So yeah, just a couple of little changes there. But back to this race, things got a little bit interesting here. So I was playing this really tactical, and this is very tactical, this race. Any race around here is tactical. We spoke about the tactics of the slipstream, and just being within the range and just picking your opportunities and overtaking at the right time. And I felt like this guy, this Matthias guy, the German, was quicker through the corners than I was. He was really good through this section. So I decided if we wanted to catch up with the guy in second, we had to work together. And I felt like what we could do is let this guy do all the work through the corners because he was quicker, and then I could just slipstream him down the straight and just keep with him. So he actually seemed faster than I was. And you can see at the end of lap 4, that has kind of transpired. We have actually caught up with Burs. In fact, Matthias has now gone past him at the start of lap 5. So ideally I need to get past Burs as quickly as possible before Matthias kind of gets away. We'll see if that happens though, because Burs of course has the benefit of slipstream now. And when you're on your own in this race, it's very difficult because you don't have the slipstream down that main straight. Zavicic in the lead is just an absolute animal. It's an absolute beast. He's just driven off into the distance by 11 seconds ahead of where we are right now. And he's got no slipstream. So that guy is absolutely bang on it, and he always is. Whenever he's in these daily races, he's just absolutely flying. Normally always on pole position, normally winning the race. And I'm surprised I don't see his name in the FIA races, to be honest, because he is absolutely world class in terms of his speed. So down into the hairpin, end of lap number 5, 3 to go. It's a fairly long race this, about 16 minutes, although I suppose not too long by race C standards or by the new FIA race standards. There's no pit stop though, so it is kind of just churning out 8 laps with not much fuel or tyre strategy. Well, there's no real fuel or tyre strategy. Burs using a weird slowing down strategy by going into the wall. And it seems as though he was a little bit late on the brakes, having to use the wall to kind of help him down to a halt. So we move up into third, not within slipstream range though, crucially. Drinking game for this video, I suppose, would be slipstream, tactical, 1.2 seconds, 4 GT. Drink anytime you hear those or see them, and you'll be absolutely paralytic after about 2 minutes. So lap 7, Birds are still about a second behind, and I'm about a second behind Matthias. And he started making mistakes on this lap, crucially. This is crucial. This is race defining moments through here, because he was 1.5 seconds ahead. He had the gap, and I didn't have the slipstream. But then he made the crucial errors on this lap here, lap 7. And that's going to put me within range, crucially, on this last lap. Well, it's not the last lap now, but it's going to be the last time that we go down the full straight. So it's going to be my best opportunity to go for an overtaking manoeuvre in this race. So, quite crucially, he's made that mistake. Can we capitalise on it by then getting into the slipstream now? Let's see if we can do it. Looking at the gaps, 1.0, 1.01 almost, yeah, 1.1. But now he's going to slowly come down, or quite quickly actually, especially when you fast forward it. Well, that was actually at full speed. This was actually at normal speed. Into turn 1, not quite close enough to go for that move. Well, we got that gap down from 1.1 to 0.2. We gained 9/10 of a second on that straight. So game on. 1 lap to go. Less than 1 lap to go. Can we get this position? It looks like we can get it straight away, as Matthias committed a little bit too early towards the second corner, and as a result getting a poor exit, so I can get the drive and the traction to get past him. So now it's really a case of just not bottling this fast sweeping section of the circuit, and then it's going to be a very difficult scenario coming out of that final hairpin, because the car behind sometimes has an advantage in the fact that they can slipstream down towards the first corner, or sorry, down towards, in this occasion, down towards the finish line. It's going to be a close one. Let's see if I can just break away, hopefully, from Matthias and build up enough of a gap. It's going to have to be a 1.2 second gap at least, otherwise he is going to be within the range. So after this corner, just one more left. I suppose it's 2 corners, because on the exit of the hairpin you have a left-hand kink, and in the rain it really does become a corner. So here we go then, one last big braking point, and we're on the brakes. And to be fair to Matthias, he's pulled off a very nice move there. Gone up the inside, just parked it on the apex, and he's just got ahead. Look at this, as I just slide on the exit, he's got himself ahead with 1 straight left to go. So this is going to get very, very close now, because I have the slipstream on the run up to the finish line. So I'm going to tuck fully in as he moves fully to the left hand side. I'm going to move to the right. He's going to have a slight kick to the left in his favour, but as we just come up to the line, I'm just going to swap to second position, and as we finish, 0.002 of a second between the two of us, and I just claimed that second, and perhaps a podium that I should have got in the first race, but completely bottled. And we had a really good recovery in that second race to get that second place. I do hope you enjoyed the video. As always, everyone, let me know your thoughts. And a big thank you to all my patrons and channel members for all your continued support, but of course just for everyone for watching the videos and being a supporter of the channel that way. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.